This week kept up with the humor slash seriousness of what Eminence and Shadow is, but at the same time, developed enough story and things to keep us going along where it was actually a pretty damn good episode, even though not much really happened. Sid and his second persona as Shadow is always something that's absolutely comical. Most of the time, the way they adapt that, and then obviously what's going on in this city and what his sister's doing. And we kind of get the combination of all three here with this episode. And I've, like I said, highly enjoyed it. So let's talk about this episode here real quick and we'll discuss a little bit more at the end. So this episode starts off with that one guy that was hanging above the red tower, which got captured, and he was just kind of there attacking people trying to enter the castle, and we see that, he was doing great. He was killing fiends and everything. And then one day he showed up at the castle, and the head honcho red vampire, not the queen, but the one that is in charge of this group right now, ends up slicing his arms off and chanting him up to the top, of this tower. And we see the Juggernaut there, and this guy's like freaking out because he wants to fight something, but obviously he's not going to take on the Juggernaut. And then he sees our nine-tailed vixen herself, and he ain't going to attack her either because she's way too strong. And we see that kind of flash from the last episode where Sid was in the middle of them two by the gate, telling him, that the frenzy's begun, which is going to be something he's going to do in this episode because he kind of goes on like NPC autopilot rampage this episode. And so he does that, and after he warns them, we see that the Juggernaut's going to enter the castle, and Miss Ninetails is going to walk away after he starts talking about, the red moon and everything that's coming with it. And so Shadow's leaving, and that one guy that's sitting on top of the perch sees him and really doesn't feel his power because, the black slime, and goes to attack him right off the bat and just gets slaughtered. Like, Shadow cuts him in half again. So this man's now two halves, completely dead. No more use to this world. And then we flash from there, from Sid and everybody, to Beta and a couple of the other girls searching this library, trying to find out necessarily like knowledge. I'm guessing that Sid sent them on. And they're looking, and we get to see his sister and Mary again in the library as well, because the building, I guess, tipped on its side and like pushed him into the library, and just fell over, the coincidental tip over and everything. So they're doing that, and of course, Beta realizes they're there, and she is supposed to kill anybody that comes in. However, she knows that that's Shadow's sister, and so that they're obviously not gonna kill her. And so the other two are kind of asking why she's hiding her face and everything. And it's kind of obvious because we know that his sister knows what Beta looks like. So she's going to hide her face, obviously, and not be found out from the bat. So she starts, asking questions, and they start kind of harassing each other, what they're doing there. And of course, Beta starts pointing fingers at Mary about how she's a 1,000-year-old vampire hunter. Like, she knows more about Mary than she's letting on for everybody to know. But she makes the proposition of, if you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone, and everything should be Gucci. Which is pretty much what it comes down to. And they kind of tell, obviously, Beta and the girls what's going on and how they're looking for Sid, and Mary's looking for the Red Queen. And of course, number 666, or AKA Rose, starts freaking out because she thinks Sid's hurt. And Beta has to kind of like talk her down and everything, that's shut the fuck up. We don't need to worry about that. We're gonna obtain some shit and get the hell out of here, right? And so obviously Beta kind of chews out, Rose a little bit, because she does have it coming, because she knows her job, and she's just not doing it. She's getting her nose in other business. Obviously, Sid can take care of himself, and so they keep moving on, and we are with Mary and his sister, and obviously his sister's realizing that Mary's kind of hiding something from him, and obviously Claire's hiding something from her as well. The fact, that she was born as one of these fiends, and yeah, so she's got all those secrets herself, And so while they're trying to get through here, they see Juggernaut just slaughtering vampires left and right, like hardcore, and telling us pretty much that fact again, where you have to rip their hearts out and stab them to kill the vampires. And he's trying to find the Blood Queen, obviously, so he's digging his way through the building, and they're not telling him answers, so he's just killing them left and right. And obviously Mary and Claire want to avoid this whole situation whatsoever because they know they probably don't stand a chance. And while they're trying to hide and be evasive, he senses them and comes to attack them, and Claire gets smacked right in the face within 10 seconds, hits that cement floor, and she looks like she's out for the count. And while she looks like she's out for the count, she climbs back up after he goes to attack Mary and stabs him in the foot and gets right up on top. And so they've both been kind of knocked down and out, and they're both ready to just give up. And Mary ends up doing this really, really lewd kiss with Claire to suck her blood off, because oh my gosh, she's a vampire. Oh my gosh. So she gets a little bit of this power from obviously sucking the blood in, and something she hasn't done over 1,000 years, and obviously she hasn't done it in so long that it's not working quite right off the bat, but they're able to fend him off a little bit, and before we know it, Sid, or Shadow, comes and lands on Juggernaut's blade and takes him out before he is like 1 millisecond away from killing Claire. And the irony is, we find out a little bit later that like he doesn't even realize that it was Claire. He is just there to stop whatever was going on. So like, he's such a doofus, but he's such a good character at the same time. So I love it. But he gives them the same warning, like I say, he's been giving everybody with his NPC mode, how there's little time left and the red moon's coming and everything. And that whole thing goes on, and then obviously Claire confronts Mary about being a vampire. She explains everything to her about the past, how obviously they used to hunt them for sport like they were animals, until the people realized how to get rid of them was, in the sunlight they get weakened and burn, and then you drive a stake through their heart and they die. So what did they do? The Red Queen back then decided that obviously they're no longer going to eat humans. So they start being able to go into the sunlight, and they don't crave blood anymore, and everything's going good, except for the Red Queen. She still craves blood, and she couldn't go in the sunlight, even though this was all her idea. And one day, one of their vampire people, Crimson, I think she said the name was, gave her a drop of blood because she'd been craving it for so long, and she went on this 3-day slaughter fest, just killing everybody, right? And Mary, as her maid back then, was just drinking a little blood she can and trying to stop the Queen. But by the time that was even a thing, the Queen was already on top of the roof, pretty much getting ready to commit suicide, so she didn't do something like this again. So she takes herself out with a silver blade and makes sure that Mary is in charge of her ashes so that she never gets resurrected again, obviously. However, once she's sealed away and everything, Mr. Red-Haired Vampire comes and chops off Mary's head, or Crimson chops off Mary's head, and they pretty much took her away from her for the last 1,000 years till the next red moon came. And so that's pretty much what happened there, and she's trying to make sure that the Red Queen doesn't come back to finish out her mission. And obviously, Clary admits her secret too, and, the fact that, everything's going to be Gucci, and that, that's the main reason she came to this place, was so that she could, help her brother achieve something, because obviously in her life she's going to transform and then they'll have to kill her. So she wants to make sure her brother's taken care of, which is pretty damn sweet considering, Claire has much of a sister complex as she has and everything. But so we go back to Sid, and he's in the freaking treasury looking through everything, and there's nothing he really wants there, even though he wants to live for at least 300 years, so he needs a little gold. And as he's searching along, he comes to the realization that he wants to get to, the big baddie before the other person shows up and takes the credit, which is like always what happens to Sid every single time. But we go back to Crimson, I think I said his name was, and he's pretty much talking about the fact that he goes into her body, her like tomb, and it's just bones in her heart, and he's about to resurrect her. And before he resurrects her, Sid shows up and blows everything up, just blows it up, right? And this guy's head goes flying, and this nice smoke cloud comes up, and Sid, right after the credits, is like, oh, it's just a little time, right? Like, I don't think he even realizes the fact that he pretty much just took out the main baddie with just showing up and blowing it up. It's absolutely freaking hilarious, and the comical, relief of the show is so freaking funny. I love it so much. It really makes you want to keep going, like I said. Like, that first half of the first season was not my cup of tea. And then out of nowhere, it started to change and get more actiony, more plot based, and everything started really picking up. And that's why I think I really love this show, is because I never know what to expect. And every time I watch more and more, I keep wanting to watch more and more. It's addicting like a drug. But yeah, so that's this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It means a lot to me. And if you're feeling real generous, hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. And I upload 4 times a week. I do this one, I do Goblin Slayer, I do Freddy, and I do one more. What the heck do I do? Ragnar Crimson. There we go. Brain fart. And yeah, I'll be doing more obviously next season. Try to maybe do a little less seasonals and do a little bit more topics. But for this season, I want to try it out and see how it went. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got for today. I guess we'll see y'all in the next video. This has been Squids, and yeah, we'll see you later. Peace.